Settle back now, content, comfortable, well-fed, and ready for some fine entertainment. Is everybody happy? Then let's go. It's showtime.
Welcome to the Cuse Militia Podcast with those two unapologetically biased, orange-blooded homers, Sean and Joe.
Most bullshit thing I've seen in 30 years.
What's up, Cuse Nation? Thanks for tuning in to the Cuse Militia Podcast with Sean and Joe. If you like it, please share it. The universal handle for the socials is at Cuse Militia. Go there, join the militia, please, would you? We're the only Syracuse sports podcast centered around giving you, the fans, a voice. Welcome. Happy Thursday. Once again, we're back.
Yes, sir.
With the inevitable, yet controversial, yet necessary, never-ending Corona COVID talk, which just surrounds everything sports right now.
Right.
And, right. Right? I mean, it's like,
yeah,
we don't want to come on here and talk about this, but we've just simply, we avoided it for quite some time, did we not, Joe?
I think so. But again, I think we wanted to give the medical experts enough time to kind of
that was the main reason.
Figure out,
sure.
Right?
Yeah, that was the main reason.
Right.
But we didn't want to either. But now that football is getting so close, it is.
Well, it's all they're talking about anyway, right?
It's all that's in sports news.
That's the sports news, so we're going to talk about it, right?
Right. So, it's unfortunate that the whole thing is just kind of a mess, Right. So, we'll talk about a little bit of football news. Then we're going to have James on. We're going to try to have fun with James. Okay, we're gonna see what he thought about Coach's comments, because we played him last week. But James is our basketball guy, so we're going to have at James Szuba on a little later to discuss.
He's back in the city, right?
No, not yet. Nope, still in the square. So we're going to have him on to talk about a little bit of that, a little bit of maybe some buy-seller hold. We got a couple of them. And then, Alan Griffin obviously was big news, so we can play around with that, play around with some lineups maybe. I don't know, see what James thinks.
Right.
Have a little fun with that. So it's not all Corona. It's not all the Rona. So
no, it's not all bad.
No. As you know, this show is distributed by Armchair Media, and the Armchair Media and this show are powered by Bet Online. So, as you well know, Sports Heap coming back. So now is your chance to bet on them with an exclusive wagering partner of ours, betonline.ag. You got baseball. We're almost, halfway through baseball season already? Is that right? Is that accurate?
I don't know.
You don't know about that like I don't know about the NBA. What's the NBA? Well, I have no idea, but I know it's back, and I know you can bet on it. And they're doing playoffs. So you can bet on all that stuff, or you can bet on the virtual stuff too. That's there and available. You want to do some preseason Madden virtual betting? You can do that, or whatever else they got lined up. Of course, MMA. Of course, NASCAR. BetOnline has all the odds, features, and props for you to bet on. So go there. Also, as I mentioned before, tune in to hear Floyd Money Mayweather. He joins the BetOnline team in a new segment called "The Ice Is Right," where he talks about his expensive jewelry collection, and he'll give you a chance to win some of that jewelry if you've got to go to BetOnline. Put out a wager. Whoever's closest wins. Something like that, right? I'm sure it's not quite that easy, but that is at BetOnline. Right. So bet on that. Visit betonline.ag today. Check out all of the odds and up-to-date sports news. Don't forget to sign up and take advantage of the welcome back bonuses, of course, still going on right now at BetOnline, your online wagering experts. And Joe.
Yeah.
You shave your bikini line or what?
What?
Huh?
No.
But if you did,
my bikini line.
What would you use? You don't do the Speedo thing anymore?
The lawnmower 3.0.
You don't do the Speedo thing anymore, bro?
Never did.
You stopped that?
Never did. That's fake
When
news,
did you
bro.
Listen, men, start taking notes because Manscaped accidents are finally a thing of the past. The Manscaped Lawnmower 3.0 has been beautifully designed to reduce those painful nick and tugs. This is the third generation, hence the 3.0. And it's got the skin-safe technology to keep you and your boys safe. You don't want any issues, drawing blood. Not good. Comes with the newly designed charger stand and looks great in the bathroom. You know, the ladies, obviously, as I mentioned, this is not in there, but obviously it's not just for men. You know, ladies can use it, I suppose. You can also just bring it right in the shower with you, as it is waterproof. So you can't beat that. Groom closer. Get the Lawnmower 3.0. Now, remember, if you go to manscaped.com, don't forget to mention armchair as the promo code and get 20% off and free shipping with the promo code armchair. 20% off and free shipping with use of the promo code armchair at manscaped.com. Your boys will thank you. The giblets will thank you. We appreciate it. We thank you. Go there. Okay, so they got to give me something better to work off of with those. I mean, come on. Help me out. Throw me a bone. Give me something new. All right. So, where do you want to start, Joe?
Let's start with Drew. Why not?
You want to start with Drew? Let's do this. All right, so Drew Gunther, he is going to transfer. He's a Syracuse quarterback, 6'2", 204 pounds. He was one of the signal callers for the Orange last year, and also he was side by side with David Summers, and they spent some time running the scout team. And he's going to enter the transfer portal, as he tweeted out. He said, "Thank you, Syracuse. I learned a lot in my time here. I'll miss my brothers. After much prayer and thought, I've decided to enter the transfer portal." So we wish him luck. Obviously, we still got David Summers in there. Was a late pickup last year, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So.
He was a walk-on, for the most part. And I don't really think that he was realistically going to get playing time. I mean, you never really know, because when he did sign, the depth at the quarterback position was kind of low. But now when you look at us bringing in Jacobian Morgan, I forget the other guy there. Was it Markowitz or something from Texas?
Yeah, the one. Yes. And
then with Lamson signing now, and then like we talk about, we got Summers in there, and then DeVito still got 2 more years. Realistically, I mean, he comes in and it's a shot to maybe grow and maybe become a backup someday, or who knows. But I think he saw the writing on the wall and kind of just went in the transfer portal.
Dylan Markowitz from Texas.
Yeah. Besides, if you're going to transfer too, I mean, instead of having to sit out a year, you know that you're pretty much going to. If you know you're going to transfer, now's the time, because you know that you're not going to have to wait a year. You're going to be able to.
That's true. Make the moves now while you can, because you're probably going to get, a waiver granted. I mean, at least you have a better chance, obviously.
Right.
So, we wish him the best of luck. So, look, last Friday when Hugh Freeze tweeted something about testing and all this stuff? Is that what this was? Last Friday?
Nah, something happened. I don't know.
Something happened. You don't know.
Again, I mean, it's a huge narrative of. I mean, I guess what the Syracuse football players have been talking about is that they trust. I know there's a little bit of a mess up with one of the test results or something like that, and that was one of the reasons why they set out practice one of the days. But Syracuse players, they've talked about pretty much all the confidence in the world of the protocols that our university is going to take. It's just been, you've seen nothing in the news, but basically judging other programs, and the players are worried about that fact, is that, we're doing what we're supposed to be doing. How do we know that you're going to do what you're supposed to be doing?
Legit concerns, right?
I mean, I guess they are legit concerns, because you got to look at that's pretty much the same concerns as just out in public, right? People wanting people to wear masks and toeing the line, and when you're out in public around people where you can't social distance, throw that mask on there and do what you're supposed to do. And I guess it's just one of those things where to do this, everyone has to have trust in other people, right? I mean, you go to work every day, I go to work every day. We have to trust that our coworkers aren't out there when they're not at work putting themselves at risk and then coming in, right? So there's got to be some semblance of trust for this to work.
Absolutely. There has to be. And, as we know, with as far as the testing goes, and I don't know how quick they get back their tests, but we've had to test people at work. And it takes about 2-3 days. So I imagine they're probably turning those over a little quicker, seeing that they have the better resources for it,
Right.
But we are still, 3 weeks away from the season starting. And everybody better get their ducks in a row quick.
Right.
Because it's going to be cutthroat. And people aren't going to want to take the chance of coming into contact with a team who had seemingly maybe not taken the precautions seriously, or maybe it's just the lack of testing. And obviously, I think testing is key. I totally agree with that. And
right.
Syracuse announced that they're going up. They think the magic sweet spot is 3 a week. So you're basically getting tested. And as soon as you get your results back, you're getting tested. And as soon as you get your results back, you're getting tested again. It's just
right.
it's what it sounds like to me. So, which is fine. And Liberty has come out and said, I know we are trying to cancel the game, but I got to be honest, I'm just against that for a number of reasons. First of all, our game against Liberty is 2 months away, and they have plenty of time. They actually have plenty of time before they even play their first game to get it right. They really only need a batch of testing, which only takes a couple days to get this right. And then they got to do it consistently. And they've come out and said that they will follow NCAA protocol and ACC protocol, whatever guidelines they set out. I think 3's good. I think 3 makes people feel safe. And if that's what we want, right? Yeah. We want the players to feel safe. Okay, that's the biggest concern. And be safe.
That'd be smart for Liberty, right? Because
absolutely, because they're not in a conference, so they don't have real guidelines other than their own.
They're a newer Division I school, and the way that this season is
they have a huge opportunity this year.
Well, right, because they have multiple games with the ACC. I mean, that's kind of one of the big teams that are filling up that one non-conference game that these teams have. I mean, I know for a fact we already have at least 3 teams that are playing them. So, it's a good chance to get some relationships with some schools and maybe, solidify some future, contracts with, obviously, playing them, get some home and aways and stuff like that to boost their program. So, if they want to grow and end up being a serious football school, which it looks like they want to, and bringing in the coach that they have and everything, willing to play whoever or wherever, then they're going to have to submit to the protocols and the things that are asked for by the ACC, because that's the majority of the teams that are on their schedule.
Right. And just the amount of time we got, I think we're good. I think we all take a deep breath.
Yep.
Let everybody fall in the line. And then your talking point is going to be, and I'm sorry, but I just don't buy into this one, which is all the new cases on campus, okay? And it's students. This is the ones that we're hearing about right now, because the athletes are obviously being tested so often. We would hear, there's a separation there. So we hear, there's, 147 cases at UNC, and they stopped undergrad classes, right? Yeah. And, when you hear about cases, it doesn't necessarily mean anything. I'm sorry. But if you're that age is walking around asymptomatic more than anybody, except for even younger, okay? So the freak out time, it's time to get it in row. But you got these freshmen. I think there was a freshman party at SU recently that the players were concerned about. Obviously, as they know and as we know, that stuff's going to happen. It's inevitable. These kids, that's the other thing about playing football and being in the football bubble rather than not playing football are still going to be there. And it's even probably a worst case scenario. I think we hit that last week. It's probably a worst case scenario for him to be out there. So we're going to hear about the cases at school. Well, we know that's going to happen. We know it's going to happen.
Right.
So it shouldn't be a surprise when you hear about cases at school. In the news, I'm sorry, but they glom on to negativity like it's going out of style. And that's all they talk about. Everything you read is so negative all the time. And, we don't get a lot of data mixed in there. You got to go find the data yourself. It's sad.
Yeah. And the worst, and the thing is, too, is that if there was all these positive cases and these people, if their lives were that threatened or they were going to the hospital, then that'd be all over the news, right? So they're not talking about the fact that most of them are asymptomatic and that, again, you have to respect this virus, but
absolutely
for this age group, it's just proven to be, just got to look at the numbers.
It barely registers as a percentage.
Right.
From ages 15 to 24, which is a decade of births in this country. It barely registers with the mortality rate I'm talking about.
Right. Yeah, and I just
cases
think,
are going to register.
Again, you don't want everybody to get it, so that's really the whole thing, right? That's why you have these safety protocols, because again, realistically, having a hold on it is making sure that it's not spreading like wildfire again, right? So that's the main concerns. I just don't. If you send kids home, they're still going to go out, they're still going to hang out, and then they're actually going home to where their parents are, right? So,
right. But we went over
that last week, and I'm not going to beat a dead horse, but again,
we could beat.
More and more people are talking about it, and again, as this has started, it's new for everybody. When my company had to put protocols in, it was new, and there was some mishaps and some missteps, and it's just one of those things where they just kind of started. They've all kind of came together and said, this is going to be the protocol. We're going to test 3 times a week. We're going to test 3 days before the games. And if anyone has symptoms, they're going to be quarantined, all that stuff. And all we can really do is let it ride and see what happens. Like you said, we got 3 weeks, and let's see what happens.
Well, Big Ten, talked about go ahead. Hopefully what?
Well, I was just saying, hopefully they can tweak the protocols and tweak everything that they're doing, and hopefully everybody can respect the protocols so that people and other teams can trust each other, and then they can get used to it and get out there and play some football.
And if people outside the conference, this includes Notre Dame, they don't want Liberty and Notre Dame don't want to abide by, if they don't take it seriously enough. I think they do. I just think it comes off like that. I mean, obviously, right. I think everybody, you know what I mean? I think you're taking it serious. I think that, I'm not going
at first, it's just like the states, right? I mean, everyone had their own kind of way of handling it. The governors had their way of trying to figuring out what to do. Same thing. Universities had their own thing. Well, now as it's going, it's kind of mutating.
Thing. Yeah.
It's mutating because now everybody has to be under the same page, right? So now there's going to be some people that are going to have to tweak it and maybe go a little bit tougher, and that's just what we're talking about. That's what we're working on. We have 3 weeks to do it. And like I said, I mean, if they put the correct protocols and everybody is in line and they're following the rules and everyone's on board and they're going to do it, then who am I to say that they can't play?
Yeah, and these kids want to play, most of them. There was something in Syracuse.com, Aaron Service was like, look, I weighed my options, man. And it's just not affecting healthy people in my age group as bad as it is some other people, and he doesn't have any underlying conditions, so he feels safe. He's decided to play, right?
Yeah, and and same thing with Cisco, right? But at the same time, those guys, they're captains, and they're just good overall human beings, good players, and they're going to look at the players, because there are some players that are worried about it, so and they're not going to downplay them, and they're not going to make fun of them, or they're not going to point them out. Everyone's sticking by everybody that is a little bit more concerned, and maybe no one's being forced to play. So
real quick, and I want to bring James on. A Big Ten, they decided to, I guess they said, put a pause on the season to be fair, right? They said put a pause on it. Okay. So we talked about them a lot last episode and how they did, and it's kind of like, I feel like it's knee jerk and maybe a little bit. They really didn't give a reason. They just said we're gonna basically put a pause on it and reevaluate. Which okay, whatever. But Kevin Warren, the commissioner, who took part in this decision. First of all, you don't get to see a open vote of the presidents of these universities who decide they want to or don't want to. Right. I don't even think there was a vote. And so they've cut.
Who knows?
No, I don't think there was. So they've put a pause on the Big Ten. Meanwhile, Commissioner Kevin Warren's son, Powers Warren, he's going to play at Ole Miss in the SEC. So, or Mississippi State, right?
I believe it's Mississippi State. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, it's just, I don't know.
Again, I mean, everyone can look at it as like hypocrisy, this and that, but there's a lot of things there, right? I mean,
well, there's a lot of things there. There is,
because number one, the medical doctors that those guys that conference is going and talking to, they're the ones that are pushing the whole heart thing, right? And they don't seem as confident as other conferences' doctors. Number one, number two, he's a brand new commissioner. The conference had a great commissioner, Jim Delaney, for a long time. And he's taken over, and he just started, and this is when this coronavirus thing happened, right? So
yeah, it's unfortunate for him.
I'm sure he doesn't want to drop the ball. He doesn't want to, being a newer, being in charge and being new, you don't want to make a mistake, right? So there's always the pressure of that, and also you just never know what kind of pressure he is getting from these presidents of these universities. So it's hard. I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, what a hypocrite, what a this, and that, because deep down, you really don't know exactly where he's coming from.
Well, it's all public, Joe. All of it's public pressure. Whenever anybody just says, no, we're not going to do it based on not data, but fear.
Yeah.
It's all public pressure.
Yeah.
I don't know what else it would be.
Kid versus a whole conference system.
Right. Well, now you've got the parents and families from Iowa started writing letters and started a petition. Now you've got
Justin Fields started a petition as well. He had over 280,000 signatures in I think less than a week. So and they brought that to the Big Ten and everything like that. And like again, they just kind of put the kibosh on it today and just said, look, we're not opening that book. We've closed it, and we're more focused on making sure that it's safe for all sports to return as soon as possible. So I don't know exactly what that means, but to me, it just seems like there was a whole bunch of people that weren't going to be able to come to an agreement.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm grateful when you see these other conferences, because you do see these universities be able to come together, both private and public, to come to an agreement on, hey, what do we got to do to make this as safe as possible, lower the risk as much as possible.
I feel bad for Big Ten fans and players, especially fans and family. It sucks.
Again, you never know what kind of consequences these things have, right? So, we talked about it last episode with, recruiting, because I know that this is going to leave a bad taste in the parents' mouth, and it's going to leave a bad taste in some of the kids' mouths. Yeah. And when you have these recruits coming up, if they see 3 Power 5 conferences that come together and work through it and do what they need to do to still be able to allow these kids to play and allow these kids to still play for their dreams and go to school, then these kids might be more likely to go to schools like that versus another school that might not necessarily listen to them. I don't want to say have their best their safety in mind. I don't want to say that, but because obviously that's what they're thinking, right? But
right.
If you have a whole group of people that are like, hey, we know the risks and we're still willing to, that's tough. So you never really know.
It's crazy. Iowa can't play, but Iowa State is going to play. And the same with...
and they talked about it in the state of Ohio. The Cleveland Browns are going to play. Cincinnati Bengals are going to play. Cincinnati Bearcats in the American League are going to play. And Ohio State, the state of Ohio's high school football.
Yeah, same with Iowa's high school football is going to play.
Yeah.
So, all right, enough of that. I hope we don't have to continue with this much longer. I really do. I really do.
It's going to be the talk of it, but I hope that it gets to a point where we're not hearing. I hope it's just news in stories of kids and players having confidence in other teams and with their own programs to not to qualm the worries of the fans that aren't on board with this.
Yeah.
Because that's all you can. really hope for. Otherwise, it's just going to be 3 more weeks of this, and who knows? It might go into the season. There's still going to be, even if we play, there's probably going to be people that are questioning it and wondering why we're even doing it.
Three weeks of this, and come the second week after this week, we may take more vacation time because I don't know. But all right, enough of that. Let's bring James on.
Yep.
Everyone knows the music. It's either James coming on or Tyler coming on. And I already told you James is coming on, so here he is. Syracuse basketball beat writer for the Noon's Magician and 315 legend. Haven't thrown that one out there in a while. Our good buddy James Szuba. How you doing, brother?
I'm good, man. Yeah, you guys are real original. You only have me and Tyler on.
I know. I know. It's all we care about. It's all we care about.
Get somebody new on, dude. They're tired of hearing me. They're tired of hearing.
Oh, they're tired of hearing me and Joe. That's why we bring other people on. Let's get this straight. Let's get this straight. People are still downloading the last Szuba episode every day.
Man,
I'm like, why?
Bored at home if they're listening to.
I think they're starving for some basketball, bro. I think that's what's going on.
Let's give the people what they want. I'm back on.
That's
the
right.
only reason I'm back on is because I asked to come on Twitter. Let's establish that.
Well, you called me a coward, and I don't want people to think I'm a coward on Twitter because I really care what people on Twitter think of me.
Right.
So I was like, I better have James on, otherwise everybody's gonna think I'm a coward.
Come on.
Actually, we talked about
last week after the episode. We talked about it.
I know.
So
James knows that. I already brought it up to him. Okay. So that's text message. I got the screenshots. Quickly, you're still in Syracuse. That's good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You enjoying yourself still? Got some Tully tenders last week. I was jelly.
Got some Tully tenders, the self-proclaimed best tenders on earth from Tully's. They might be, man. I've yet to have a better tender.
That's true. I get them every time I go home.
Yeah, like you never feel good afterwards, and you know you're not going to feel good afterwards, but yet you
don't
still
care.
Yeah. You just still
Sign me up.
Yep.
Is it the popcorn though? I mean, I'll eat like a couple bags of popcorn before I even get to the tenders.
Yeah. You go through one, and then like the waiter or waitress comes over. They ask, "Would you like another bowl of popcorn?" And the answer again is like always yes.
Yeah, it's like why wouldn't
I? No, I've had too much popcorn. No.
Yeah, exactly. So we had Tyler on last week, and we had him listen to Coach, but we don't really care what Tyler thinks about basketball. Let's be honest. That's a Zoob's thing. So. Now that you're coming on, we don't want to bore the listeners, but we're gonna play it again. I want to see what you think, and we'll go from there. Okay, then we'll get into some other fun stuff. All right.
Well, what I see is with younger people under 25, nobody's dying. Anybody healthy can get sick. 40 or 50% of the cases are probably with no effects. But when you see the football players coming back, and when they initially come back and test positive, that means they got it at home. Since they've been back on campus, these same football players are testing negative and are practicing already with no effects. You see that all over. You see the sports leagues that have started, there's been a couple little disruptions, but for the most part, these got healthy athletes, either asymptomatic or they don't get anything from this disease. And I just don't see why we don't push forward like all the other sports have. And you're talking about college kids that are going back to school, and you're talking about high school kids that are going back to school, because in my mind, this could go on for 2 years or 3 years. Are we just going to stop everything for 2 years or 3 years? I am not a great believer in a vaccine. The flu vaccine still doesn't work. And we've been looking for that for 30 years or so. So I don't see a cure coming. And if there's not a cure coming, are we just going to give up and sit home for the next 2 years?
So Coach has come out before. He came out during the Boeheim's Army games. He said, everything should be opened up. I think schools should be opened up. We should start living our lives. One of the very few people that, and it's almost like because he just doesn't care what you think. He's got the stones and he's gonna use them. He doesn't care. He doesn't care what the media thinks. He doesn't care what you or I think. He doesn't care. He's gonna say what he believes. What do you make of it?
Yeah. So that's the first thing that I was going to say is one. He's been on this horse for a while. He's been pretty adamant about let's open things up, let's get back on track, so on and so forth. But Jim Boeheim tells you what he really thinks. I mean, I think we've seen that time and again. And whether you agree with him or not, he is telling you what he really thinks here, and I think you can sort of appreciate that. We'll get into the the effects and all and everything else he said, but I do think that he says what he feels, and he's going to come out and he's going to tell you how it is. We've seen it time and again with the Greensboro comments and all that. So there's a lot to unpack in that statement.
It
but
is.
He is also. I would also say that he's 75 and doesn't have many years left to coach. Like however many that is, we don't know. But I think we all know that it's coming towards the end here, and a season or two that he doesn't get to coach, I think, would put things kind of, what's the word I'm looking for here? But I think the less time that he has to coach, he certainly doesn't want that.
Yeah, well, he definitely wants to coach to the end of Buddy's career at SU, obviously.
Right.
No, and I think that might be it, right?
Well, yeah, that's what I think.
He's got a son that's a senior in Cornell that they're not playing, right? They don't know yet for basketball, but I mean, I know Ivy League football is going, but he's got two sons that are playing basketball as well, in which, with his views and everything, I mean, he as far as the whole coronavirus thing goes, he wants his kids to play, and he thinks that it's safe enough for them. And I mean, he has pre-existing conditions, and he's signing up for the risk. But I mean, again, that's going to come with safety protocol and things like that. But I mean, if the season started tomorrow for basketball, I don't think it'd be going on. So,
well, I mean, that's an easy statement to make because we don't know exactly what their plans are yet. And I believe that they've got to they can learn a little bit from football, and they can make those adjustments maybe and just learn from some of the mistakes football made. And hopefully ACC comes out with the guidelines for everybody to follow. And when we do non-conference stuff, I mean, that might be another thing. But the NCAA should probably have something as a package for everybody by the time basketball comes here. Now, I understand that maybe some conferences aren't going to play. And, again, it's the same thing with football. I don't really care, But, like you said, he's going to say what he believes, and he believes that. He said he's not going to wear a mask on the sideline. What do you think about that? You think, I mean, the mask, right, is supposed to protect other people from you anyway. That's the way I understood it. If you wear a mask, you're protected. Now, look, the science of the mask is
a different
inconclusive at best. But the idea of it, from what I'm being told, is that I wear a mask to be respectful to you, not to protect me.
Whether he wants to or not, if a basketball season gets played, if any games get played, he's going to have to wear a mask. I don't think there's any way around that.
How is he going to yell on the sidelines? That's going to suck to watch.
That's for the coaches to figure out.
Yeah,
he's nobody's going to feel bad if Jim Boeheim can't yell at the players from the sideline. So,
yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens come November. Do you think they play in November? They were talking about pushing that back or starting it a little later. Was the latest rumor I heard.
There's so much to unpack in all of this, just because all the conferences have been all over the board and running contrary to things that the NCAA is saying, what other conferences are saying. We've heard head coaches come out. Coach K came out like last month and said, "Can we look at maybe doing the tournament and this is very far off, but in April or May? Can we look at that? Is that possible? Can we have some sort of contingency plans in place?" Kevin Willard has been a champion of, well, college, when these kids are on campus, they're in a bubble anyways. So why would we not take advantage of that and start in November? And, oh, by the way, some colleges are sending kids home after Thanksgiving break. And then we have, most recent events of, these outbreaks on campuses at UNC. We saw what happened at Syracuse with all the kids out. Indiana's had an outbreak of kids. I don't know if it was an outbreak or a gathering of students. I haven't read into it yet. But, we're starting to see that. So there's so much going on, and there's so much with that. I do think it's coming from a place of like, let's have the NCAA tournament because we can't go 2 years without the NCAA tournament. So it's not exactly right. But I think that, they're very eager to have an NCAA tournament, and, whether that happens in November or whether that happens in January is yet to be seen. But we will have some guidance next month. In September, they're going to announce whether, we're going to have a basketball season and when it will be played. For now, it's still scheduled for November, though.
Yeah, it's interesting. It'd be another.
No. The good thing with basketball is that weather doesn't conflict that.
Yeah.
So that's the difficulty with football is, there's certain months we're not going to be able to play football in certain places, right? I mean, we're lucky enough to have a dome, but there's some Northeast schools and some Northern schools that they can't do that. So basketball, you can start pretty much whenever. And again, too, I'm not going to sit here and pretend like, the TBT tournament and the pros are doing it. So, I mean, I'm not going to – college is a completely different animal when it comes to professional. I mean, professional, you can create that bubble. You don't have kids having to go to school. You got players with plenty of money, organizations with plenty of money. You can make that happen. College, it's tough. So, again, hopefully, I mean, me and Sean were talking about this earlier and about how all the teams in the conferences aligning and coming together with one – everyone's on the same page. This is the protocol. We're going to do it. We got to trust each other. And as long as there's no bumps in the road, then hopefully that can be kind of the starting point for basketball. But the whole NCAA, like you said, getting every conference and everyone on board, that is going to take a lot. And they got a little time to do it, even if they push it back a couple months. But everyone's going to have to be on the same page, and there's still going to be protocols. And I'll guarantee if they tell Jim Boeheim, hey, we're having a season, but you got to wear a mask on the sideline, he's probably going to wear that mask.
He's going to wear the mask. He's going to have to.
Yeah.
Right. Which, whatever. All right, moving on. So you shot us in the group text last week before we came on about Alan Griffin. He received an offer from Indiana, but he decided to stay with the Orange. So I just wanted to get your thoughts on that too while you're here.
Yeah. So he's going to stay at Syracuse. There's a lot with that, especially during all the things that we just talked about, whether or not a basketball season gets played. But for him, I think it makes sense. Even if Indiana made him a good offer, if they offered him a lot of money, or let's put it this way as well. He's the third assistant in line at Syracuse. We all kind of know that. Maybe they offered him a step up at Indiana. That would certainly be very attractive. But I think at Syracuse, he's got the stability right now. I don't know that this is a year that you necessarily want to make a career change, or not a career change, but a hop, so to speak. And then, certainly with everything at Syracuse, you have the stability. Jim Boeheim's not going anywhere. If they do hire somebody after Jim Boeheim a couple of years down the road, your job's probably okay. Versus if you go to Indiana, Archie could very well be on the hot seat, in a couple of years, or, all it takes is really one bad season. So he hasn't had tremendous success there yet. So I don't know that you have the same stability that you do in Bloomington as you would in Syracuse. So I think it makes sense for him to stay.
Yeah.
And he used to be an assistant for him, right? At Dayton?
Yeah. So further background on that. For those that don't know, Griff coached at Dayton with Archie, so they have that pre-existing relationship. So.
Yeah, so that's telling to me.
Hey, he wants him back.
That says, hey, I want him back, right?
Yep.
So tells me a lot about him.
Sure.
All right, real quick, we want to talk about Alan Griffin, obviously getting his waiver granted, the other Alan Griffin. But we're Quincy, we found out this week he did have groin surgery from an injury he suffered just after the trip to Italy, or during the trip to Italy, maybe even last year. So he played with it all year, dealt with the pain, pushed through, got surgery in June. He's in recovery. He's recovered. He had a pickup game with his teammates here recently, so he's getting better. But it kind of explains a little bit. Last year he said the more he played or the longer he was out there when he heated up, the better he felt. But him going out there for a couple minutes at a time, was doing nobody any good because he needed to warm up. Obviously, the pain was a little bit worse when he was cold. So it makes a little bit of sense. I didn't know about this. So, it leaves a little bit to be it's a little bit of a mystery with Alan Griffin coming in too. Who's the real Quincy Guerrier, so to speak. What do you think?
Yeah. So we saw him coming into the year. I mean, he kind of had a little bit of buzz about being an NBA draft prospect.
Yeah.
Where he would have, fell in the draft or anything would have been.
He was projected 25th in the first round at the beginning of the year, something like that.
Yeah, that's right. Jeff Goodman came out and he was very high on him as well. But yeah, I mean, if he was in a lot of pain, he certainly did a good job of hiding it. It definitely wasn't obvious.
Yeah, I know.
It might make a little bit of sense. It did take him a little bit of time. It looked like to adjust and see what the coaching staff wanted from him. Sometimes he'd be late in the zone or on a rotation. Maybe that played a factor there. And he rebounded well, but it makes you wonder, like, what could he have done with a clean bill of health? I think he would have been a little bit better of a scorer and certainly a rebounder as well. So that makes you think, what can he do when he's healthy, especially with another year under his belt. But obviously, as you mentioned with Griffin, kind of, where does that put him? Does that put him in the starting lineup, or is Quincy definitely coming off the bench now, or maybe does Griffin play off the bench? So, but yeah, he did a good job of hiding it because it certainly wasn't obvious that he, at least not to me, that he was injured.
And he had some. He did have some pretty good games down towards the end.
Yeah,
when he
was
get
getting
more
minutes, though.
Yeah, when he got more minutes.
You could tell sometimes when he had the chance to do it, then he started getting rolling, but it also explains the times where he came in for 2-3 minutes, made a mistake, and then got pulled.
Yeah.
So there's certain games where Boeheim doesn't have 5-6 minutes for you to go in and get loose. And groins that's all lateral movement. So to James' point, playing the back of that 2-3, I mean, that's all lateral movement.
Yep.
And turning and finding your guy to go close in on. So those times where you didn't see him close out in the corners and stuff like that, and it makes you kind of wonder. But I mean, hopefully, him healthy with Alan Griffin getting his eligibility, and then the talks of Dolzaj putting on 15+ pounds in the offseason. Who knows who's going to start? But that's a good problem to have. That's a problem that we haven't had to work. I mean, it's a good problem to have, in a while.
But it's still a problem. So
maybe that's why Jim said his free throws at Notre Dame were the miracle for the year. Because he's sitting there, he's on the free throw line, he's cold, he's got to bend down, use the groin. Mm-hmm. Maybe that's why it was the miracle for the year.
Maybe. It's crazy to think that he played the whole year with an injury like that and just pushed through it. And you look back now and you're like, man, it does make a lot of sense. And it does make a lot of sense that, he got better the more he was out there, because he did.
Right. And I think that even goes to prove even more that when in those post-game pressers, when Boeheim talks down players, but seems to be talking down players, that's a complete motivation tactic. He knew that he had groin problems.
Right.
He's not going to sit there and bang on a kid and talk about him like he sucks or can't hit a jumper when he completely knows that this guy probably needs groin surgery. That's complete motivation. And I mean, that to me is just proof. Because there was a couple times where he said some stuff about Quincy.
Jerry played the whole Big East tournament with a groin injury, so just toughen up. You're good.
Yeah. All right. Well, if we want to talk about the starting five problems that we're going to have this year, might as well have this discussion as Alan Griffin got granted his waiver, so he's immediately eligible. And I always said that I love this guy. I cannot wait to watch this guy play. Okay, I don't get excited about players very often, but until they're there, But I'm excited about Alan Griffin. Okay, I'm not gonna lie. I always said that it'd be great if he got a waiver, but if he doesn't get a waiver, I'm fine with that too.
Yeah,
because I'll have those extra 2 years pushed back. Another year would not hurt my feelings too much. I mean, I just see positives there too. So, how do you see it with Alan Griffin? He's going to be versatile. You got the front court's had its issues, but you got Kadari. The back court has had their issues, but you got Kadari Richmond coming in too, and we got Elijah Hughes gone. So, you see him kind of moving to the 2 or in the 3, and kind of back and forth, or what? How do you see this?
All I know is John Rothstein must have forgot about Marek Dolezaj, because he said Quincy's going to start and Alan Griffin's going to start, and I don't see Marek not starting this year.
I don't think it's a question about that. I think Marek starts, and it is a question between Alan Griffin and Gary A. In my opinion, but also you could use him as at the guard spot. So which would be. I mean, it would be better. I mean, we could have used that a lot last year too.
Yeah. So. If you're asking me right now, I mean, I'd say Joe and Buddy have starting positions on lock, and then at the 3, I would give the edge to Griffin. Go with Marek at the 4, and then Barama at the 5, and then Quincy off the bench. And it does bring up an interesting, because the front court is loaded. So, and you have a guy in Griffin who's more of a shooter than anything else. I don't know how good he is off the dribble. I think he can get there a little bit, on the boards, and I think he can do some things athletically. But I view him as more of a shooter.
Yeah.
So I think for sure, I mean, he could play a little bit of 2 guard and give Buddy a blow, and then it adds a little bit more depth to the backcourt, and then that way you don't have to rely so much on a freshman Kadari Richmond, who we think is very talented. We've heard good things, right? But sometimes you never know with freshmen and how they're going to do.
I don't buy into the freshman hype all the time. I'm seeing is believing for me on that. And I know he's a talented kid, but I just don't buy into hype. I want to see it. Obviously, he's a talented player, but we'll see. What do you think, Joe?
ACC is a different beast. It's not high school. We know he's a top 100 player. We know he's good. From what I've seen, he's pretty skilled, but maybe a little bit raw still. So, we'll see. We'll see what happens. But, to your point, I mean, it remains to be seen. You can buy into the hype if you want, but sometimes you never know with freshmen.
Joe,
I kind of see it as I still think that he's going to come off the bench. I don't know. He's going to have to learn the 2-3 zone. He's going to have to get the confidence of the coaches of the defense and kind of figure out, where he's going to play as far as the 2 or the 3. I'm right there with you, James, as far as thinking he's going to be able to help down low and up top as well. But I still see a situation where, especially where in the past couple of years, the offensive rebounds have kind of killed us. We know Gary Ayers, he's a strong dude. The way that Sidibe was playing at the end of the year, if he can keep it going, and obviously if Dolezaj really did put on this 15-pound, I mean, I liked him before anyway, so it didn't matter, right? But
he needed the weight.
You give me another 15 pounds, I mean, that's a pretty good, back line there for the 2-3 zone, right? And then you have, Joe and Buddy, they're going to be the scorers and everything. So that's kind of how I see it with Alan Griffin, who's used to coming off the bench and, again, like coming off, making shots like you said. So I can see a situation where, and again, I think this all but guarantees a red shirt for Woody Newton. But as far as Kadari Richmond goes, I do see a place where he can come in and he can actually just ask him to bring the ball up and play good defense up. Because imagine, you're going to have good defense down in with your forwards and your centers, right? Joe and Buddy, they've shown certain issues with closing out. Some people can shoot over Joe, and we've just seen it, right? So imagine those guys go and get a break. You bring in Alan Griffin, you bring in Kadari Richmond. Kadari Richmond's about what, 6'7", 6'6", something like that, right? And then you bring in Alan Griffin. Now imagine that defense, just for that little burn, to let Joe and Buddy kind of get a little bit of rest and then come back in with the offense. So that's kind of the way that I see it. But again, you never know till they get there and play.
Alan's got to play the top of the zone because we got to find a way to get Big Bad Bobby Braswell some minutes. That's all I know.
Okay.
I'm good with that. I'm actually good with that.
I don't know that it happens, but
I forgot he was on the team.
I want to see Robert Braswell play.
Yeah, I don't think he's gotten a fair shake. I mean, we talked about that last year. It's just, I just don't think he's. I mean, I feel like we just haven't seen his potential. I don't think we've.
It happens at Syracuse. Sometimes you just get buried in talent.
Sometimes you just. Yeah, I know. It is what it is. And so that's a like Joe said. It's a good problem to have, but it's a problem. But I say it's a problem. It sucks for some guys. You know how it is. And you know how Boeheim likes to play too. I mean, play 7 guys.
Of course.
You know
that Braswell is going to come out and hit a bunch of threes in some non-conference game that doesn't mean anything, and people are going to be calling for Bobby B.
Yeah. Well, I think eight men this year is going to have to be. I think eight man rotation this year would be good.
Jesse Edwards will be a backup, I believe, too.
Yeah. So you've got obviously we're still going to have the problems down low. I mean, those problems aren't going to go away. So anyway,
unless Toronto just keeps up how we ended the season.
Well, that's very true. I understand. Yeah.
That's a big. I mean, that's a big if. We don't really know what we're going to get from Barama this year. At least I don't.
No, I don't either.
So
I hope
we haven't known for 3 years.
But he was so hot to end the year, and it wasn't just the past couple games. Like, it was a string of games.
Right. It wasn't just one game.
Yeah.
So it does give you a little bit of confidence, but then there's like the whole season where, like, why did it take so long? You know why?
Yeah, I mean, that's a tough call. Is it gonna? Yeah, something clicked exactly, and it was like, is it something he's going to be able to carry over, or is it something he's going to have to re-click? Because if we're re-clicking stuff, we're in trouble. Okay.
Yeah, seriously.
Better hope Jesse Edwards had a really good summer.
Oh yeah. Well, and on top of that, like, you remember the North Carolina game where we got blown out, right, at home, right?
Yeah, and then
he's the only one that showed up.
Yeah,
that's right.
That's true.
And it was from that game on.
Yeah. Yep.
He even stayed out of foul trouble.
He still. Well, that never ended. He never put a string of those together.
Oh, he was going to get at least 4, but
yeah, he was too. All right, look, hey James, are you a betting man? We want to do some buy, sell, or holds coming up. What do you say? Are you a betting man or what?
If I was a betting man, I would bet on this podcast. That's for sure.
Oh, would you? You would bet? Well, I don't even want to know. What are you watching right now? You're watching basketball right now?
Yeah, we got the Orlando Magic Milwaukee Bucks game on. Okay. Not very entertaining because Milwaukee's currently up 16. So
all right, 15. Well, you could bet on that if you went over to BetOnline, betonline.ag. You can go bet on that. You can go bet on baseball. Baseball guy? Not a baseball guy, huh?
Not a baseball guy.
No, I didn't think so. You can bet on NASCAR, though. I know you're a NASCAR guy. Big fan. James is a huge fan of NASCAR. He can go there, bet on that, bet on the NBA, whatever that is. Also, you know the deal with the Floyd Mayweather. He's joined the BetOnline team in a new segment called The Ice is Right, where he talks about his expensive jewelry collection. He'll give you a chance to win some great prizes and bet on the cost of his bling. Visit betonline.ag today to check out all the odds and up-to-date sports news. Don't forget, they've got the written stuff there too. So go there, take advantage of all that. Take advantage of all of the welcome back sports bonuses. BetOnline, your online wagering experts. Thank you, BetOnline. All right. So, I'll play a little buy, sell, or hold. We'll see what we got. It's kind of a mess. It really has been disappointing on the socials lately. We had a post flagged. Oh, we never even talked about this. Joe, we should have talked about this, but James hated it. James hated it. He just totally disagreed with me. So, we had that. Remember that post I put up on Twitter and in Facebook, James?
Yes.
Here you go, buddy.
Yes, I do.
About when Fauci said...
All right.
When Fauci told Matthew McConaughey that the sunlight and heat kills the virus, and I said, I might as well just read it. This got deleted. This got me almost banned or suspended. Next offense is suspension. President Fauci has spoken after pushing everyone in their homes all summer. Here we are mid-August, and now this is confirmed. Nothing outside should be canceled. This is my opinion. Nothing outside should be canceled. All right. Bring the fans back. That's me. Yeah. That's my opinion. I believe the fans should come back to outdoor venues. I think we can socially distance in outdoor venues responsibly. I think that it can and should happen. James, buy, sell, or hold. Bring the fans back to outdoor venues. At least start there.
Before I buy, sell, hold, I think I'm going to have to take my comment back and go to BetOnline and bet against this podcast now.
Is it necessary to chastise me and delete
usually
that?
We agree, but I'm gonna sell. I'm gonna disagree. I just don't know that we should be bringing fans back just yet. I'm not saying we shouldn't.
Outdoors?
Do that. What's that?
Outdoors.
I'm just a little apprehensive, and okay. I don't know that that's the responsible thing. Yes, even outdoors. I don't know that if we start filling up stadiums that this virus isn't going to spread. And yes, I realize you're outdoors. You know, the virus is less likely to spread if you're in an outdoor environment. I get that. I get that with the sun. But I just you can't convince me right now that that's the right thing to do is to bring fans. And for that reason, I'm going to err on the side of caution. So that's just why I disagree.
Okay, absolutely. He sells. Joe.
I'm gonna hold, even though this doesn't count as my one hold, by the way, because I didn't know this was coming. This is kind of a, but I'm gonna hold, and I'm gonna kind of just piggyback off that. I'd like to see, the protocols of just the actual teams and universities and how they're gonna do it. I would like to see that succeed first before you start getting the fans involved, and a lot of that comes down to the fact where I personally know people who have already bought season tickets. I've known people that have already gone all in and all this kind of stuff. So my whole thing is that if you're worried just about this small fraction and playing, I don't think that we should be out there selling all these tickets like we're going to fill up the stands, having these people, spending their money, not even knowing if the teams and the universities and everything are doing what they're supposed to be doing and if it's even going to go or happen. Because the way that it's going and from what we've seen it can stop like a dime, right? We beat North Carolina. Next day it was done. And I know that was the beginning, but who knows? If there's an outbreak, they might stop the game. Next thing you know, you never know. You might not be able to get some of your money back. And again, I think it's just a mess all around.
Dude, it's season ticket holders only. How about that? It's not enough, in my opinion, but hey. All right. Here's the real ones that I didn't just make up off the cuff.
That weren't flagged.
that were deleted from Facebook and got me a warning for the next offense of suspension. Facebook jail. Screw them.
You got the yellow card.
Yeah. Dolezaj starts over Quincy, assuming the lineup has Joe Girard, Buddy, Griffin, and Sidibe. This is from Cuse Waterboy. Joe, go ahead. Don't do some long-winded, drawn-out thing. Just
whatever,
answer
man.
The damn question.
Sell. Dolezaj starting.
Exactly. I'm going to sell too. Dolezaj starting. It's between Griffin and Quincy to me. I think we established that.
Yeah. It's already been said.
Yeah.
Keep it short. Nothing more needs to be said.
Dude, if Alan Griffin is starting and Quincy's starting, that means Sidibe's sitting down.
Yeah, basically.
Right? So, I mean, Dolezaj's starting.
Yeah. At K-Wall Cuse, he says, buy, sell, or hold on James's top 10 favorite SU players. He sells. He gave his answer and everything. He sells. Look, this is like my 13-year-old son came up with this list. Okay? And it's not because it's bad. It's because it's so recent. We go as far back as 2003, which is fair, I suppose, for obvious reasons. Jerry Mack at 10, O'Shea Brissett at 9, Carmelo Anthony at 8, Eric Devendorf at 7, Quef Delaney at 6, Elijah Hughes at 5, Josh Pace at 4, Frank Howard at 3, Sutherland at 2, and Andy Routens takes the 1 spot for James's top 10. Joe, I'm going to sell on it too. There's no Derek Coleman. There's no Sherman Douglas. There's no Ronnie Cycli. There's no. Let's see who else we got.
Yeah, there's
Billy Owens.
Billy Owens. Yeah.
There's a lot of good ones, right?
Yeah. Well, there's a bunch of good ones, but you could go if you wanted to go old school with it. Matt Rowe.
So are you actually going to ask
Dave
this
Sayak
question to James?
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and sell. Definitely not a good top 10 list. I will say for those at home, if you're listening, definitely do it like Kevin did. That's how you do a buy, sell, hold. If there were a definition on how to do a buy, sell, hold, just like Kevin did, ask the question, gives his own answer in the reply.
Absolutely.
So hat tip to Kevin there. Good job.
Absolutely.
Can I give a serious answer for a sec?
Yeah. But that was my serious answer, though. Go ahead.
All right. Can I explain myself? Can it be like a 2-minute
absolutely.
response?
Don't give me some Joe pablum, but go ahead.
All right. No, it's definitely not a list that like anybody would approve of. It's like my own personal favorites for various reasons. So
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm not going with like the top players or like the top legends. Like these are the guys that I watched growing up. So like, yes, obviously know all about those guys, but I never saw them play. You know, they were before like the Derek Colemans, Billy Owens, you know, so on and so forth. I never saw them play. Billy Owens did take a picture with my mom once though, so I will give a shout out to Billy Owens. But you know, just real quick, like growing up in Cuse, being a young kid, Andy Routins was playing when I was like in middle school. I saw him play in high school, so he was kind of like the local kid. You know, he had a jumper. Like I'm pretty sure when I was like 12 or 13, I wanted to be Andy Routins. I'm pretty sure that was like my life goal.
He had gray hair.
He had great hair. He had the tats going. He had a little swag to him, a little bit of chip on his shoulder.
Yep.
So I loved it, man. I loved it. And then just a couple of the other guys, like James was just an eccentric personality. I just found him fascinating, and he was absolutely wet from three, so I liked him.
And you love some Frank Howard.
I love me Frank Howard. I still get knocked for that.
Well, I don't think you should get knocked for that.
Man, like, I know the public perception of Frank, and I totally get it. I just think there was so much more like behind the scenes that people didn't necessarily realize it was going on. But you know, I think like his junior year, he had a great junior year. Really wish we could have saw what he could have done with a healthy senior year.
Yeah, I know. That's too bad. That was a groin injury too, wasn't it?
Yeah, he hit his foot before going into his senior year, so that kept him out 8 weeks. He had to have surgery, and then it's so hard, man. People don't realize like just how hard it is to go from, you know, doing nothing for like 8 weeks and then trying to get back up to speed that a Division I athlete needs to be up to. You know, it's so hard to get to that level. So that was a tough thing, but you know, and then he finally gets there. It seems like he's rounding the corner, drops 28 points on Duke, and then you know we know how it ended. But it was sad to see it go out the way that it did.
At Matt_Sherman52, he says, "Bye."
Bye.
I mean, his answer was so long. I just go ahead, Joe.
Yeah. Unbelievable. No, you know what? That's fine. I'll keep it short and sweet because that's pretty much what I was going to say. I was going to buy in the fact that it was obviously a list based upon the people that he grew up and watched. And on top of that, he has other opinions about it because he's actually talked to some of these players as well. So the question wasn't the best players. It was his favorite players in the time and the players that he watched. So I'm never going to knock somebody for their own opinion in their own list. So
don't be so PC. Sell.
Yeah, I know.
I sell. You know, he's such an ass kisser too. I sell. I sell. I think the list could be a little better. It's not bad. No Syracuse list is bad. Just
who else would you put in there from that era?
Was Brandon Trish in there?
From that era? No, he was not.
See, I would have to. The only thing
he's the winningest player in Syracuse basketball history, though. I don't know if you knew that.
Was it?
Yeah, Brandon Trish and C.J. Fair were probably the two. That would be the two that. Yeah. But again, it's your personal list, so. Who am I to tell you?
Let me tell you who's definitely on mine out of this list. I'll do that. Can I do that?
From 2003. Okay.
No.
Mello.
Well, of course, I'm going to start with 2003. GMAC, Mello, I mean, has to be on there. Devendorf. I love Queth Dewaney, but I don't know if he's on there. I love Elijah Hughes too, and I know you got to talk with Elijah Hughes a lot, and you've been interacting with him quite a bit. But I don't know if he'd be on mine. Josh Pace wouldn't probably be on mine. Frank Howard, I don't know. I like Sutherland, but Andy Routins is definitely on mine too. I think I loved Andy Routins as well.
And you know, I think one of the things too that affects this list is that there was a huge gap there, especially and I mean, it didn't really happen with us growing up too much, Sean. But in James's era of growing up and watching Syracuse basketball, there were so many 1 and 2 and dones that sometimes it's hard to put a Tyler Lydon over insert name here. I mean, I loved 4 years of Chris Joseph, C.J. Fair, right?
Oh yeah.
I mean, Josh Pace is one of my favorite. Brandon Trish. So sometimes when a player is pretty good for 4 years, they kind of just go. They're a more fan favorite of a player like a Dion Waiters, Tyler Ennis, Tyler Lydon, Malachi Richardson, even though they were really, really good players.
Yeah. Let's see. Did I go too far here? I did. Let's see. Pardon me. We don't do when I do the buy seller holds, folks. We don't get into the NFL. I'm sorry. Buy seller hold. At Jed Sesteraro. So whatever. I'm sorry.
There he is.
Header 2 times.
Way to give the fans a voice.
Sorry. At Jed Kistaro. I was right the first time. I think. I've had people email me how to pronounce their name.
It's true. You have.
I have. All right. Look, buy, sell, or hold on the Cuse is winning 25 plus games this season and not sweating Selection Sunday.
Yeah. And then you woke up.
James.
So, yeah.
Do we ever not sweat Selection Sunday?
Not in recent times, no.
No.
Joe, you selling?
I sell, but there's a situation where you don't need to win 25 games to not be sweating on Selection Sunday. You can win 22 games and not be sweating on Selection Sunday. So,
well, if you win 25, you're definitely not.
You can
right?
be both. There's a way that can be both.
Okay. Well, what do you want to do? What are you going to do?
They're not gonna have over 25 wins, but I'm just saying that there's still an opportunity for them not to get 25 wins, but still not be sweating.
Do they sweat?
Yeah, do what they always. They'll drop a couple games that they shouldn't. Then they'll beat Duke. Maybe like a UNC, and maybe UNC will actually be good this year. And then
we'll get the 7-10 matchup.
Yeah,
8-9, something like that.
And then Michigan State will lose, and then you're in the Sweet 16. No problem.
There was a couple mellow ones. Here's one. Dominic on Facebook, buy, sell, or hold. Carmelo Anthony needs an apology from most sports TV and radio talking heads. Joe, I know that there was a lot of. I'll just go first. I know that there was a lot of trash talking, but here's the thing.
Go ahead.
I don't know what it was. I didn't pay any attention to it. I didn't really much care. I love Carmelo Anthony. Of course I'm rooting for him. But I mean, I don't know. I'm going to hold on that one. Now Joe can go.
Okay. I'm going to buy. And the only reason that I say that is because we're amongst people now, especially in the media, where you need to win championships to be good. If you don't win championships, then you're not anything. I mean, Carmelo Anthony the other day just passed, I think, all-time scoring list. What, he's 15th now in the NBA?
Yep.
So I know he had his run with Denver, and I know that there's been people that have kind of bashed him a little bit about how, maybe not a leader, not going to win a championship, whatever, only cares about getting his 30. But I think that him coming back to this bubble and playing the way that he has and still staying in shape and showing people that he can actually still be an elite scorer, even when he's the third or fourth option on a team. I don't know. I just think that he doesn't get as much, I don't know, respect as he should.
I would agree with that. I mean, I've heard enough trash talking about him. James.
Yeah, bye. I mean, totally. We know this guy's resume, right? Won a national title at Cuse. He's the winningest Olympian men's basketball player of all time. We know what he's done in the NBA. He could be top 10 in scoring if he keeps going a couple years. He brought the Denver Nuggets to the Western Conference Finals and went toe-to-toe with Kobe Bryant, R.I.P. He brought the New York Knicks to the playoffs. That should be celebrated.
Cheers,
enough
Joe.
as it is. And I mean, I think it's worked out. It's worked out in Portland. So I do think there's an element there where he did fit in and he did make it work. But that's to his testament, and I think we know now that a lot of that just wasn't true. We know that Melo is one of the all-time greats. He's one of the best one-on-one players of all time, and he's still got a little bit left in the tank. So I think, we could get a little bit of a Melo apology tour going on, and they got another game tonight, so maybe they'll go up 2-0. We'll see.
I'll tell you what, I was telling people for the last couple of weeks, I said Portland's going to win the 8, and Lakers better watch out because they have no guards. And I was talking to a buddy at work about Melo and getting to 15th, and he's like, yeah, but he don't got a ring. I said, yeah, he does. He's got one at Syracuse.
Yeah.
He's got a few gold medals, too. So
Yeah.
Isn't he like the leading scorer? Like the most leading scorer ever in Olympic? He's been in like 4 Olympics, hasn't he? Or 3 Olympics?
Yeah, he's got 3 golds. I think he is the leading scorer, and he's got a couple 3-point records as well. So
that's as far outside of this Syracuse zone on buy, sell, or holds then we go. That's it. Chris on Facebook says, buy, sell, or hold. Kadari Richmond will back up JG3 at point with meaningful minutes this season. Now, I'm just going to define meaningful. I'm going to say 12. Average 12 minutes. Or 8. 8 to 10. 8 to 10. Those are
that changes quickly.
Well, it's meaningful. I think 8 to 10 is fair.
For a true freshman.
Yeah. James, what do you think, buddy?
Yeah, I'll hold on that for now. I'm going to use my hold here. Yeah, I think it's definitely possible. He could see anywhere from 8 to 12 minutes a game, but Joe played how many minutes last year with a couple guards behind him, so we know he's gonna soak up a bulk of the minutes there, and he's definitely going to be the starting point guard. And it's just the splitting hairs part of what are meaningful minutes and how many minutes is that. But we know Joe Girard is going to play 30 plus minutes a game.
Joe.
No, I'm going to buy just because, and it's basically if Joe Girard's not bringing the ball up, then Dolezaj is. So Kadari Richmond is the only other point guard and the guy that's going to bring up the ball. So I think that in those times when Girard can't play, and like I said, you never know, right? We didn't know what was going to happen. No one thought that Joe Girard was going to get the minutes he did last year. So I do think that he ends up playing because I think that realistically when Joe Girard's not in there, every minute's meaningful because we got to get the ball up the court. And he's going to play good defense. So, bye.
I think I'm going to buy, too. I say by the end of the season, the season's long enough, I think someone like him with some of the problems. I mean, I know Joe's going to get better. Obviously, that first year's rough. But it's a perfect spot for someone to be in, I think, right there. Because there's going to be times where they're going to need someone that's that reliable where, Alan Griffin's not going to be able to fill that void. They're going to need it. So I say he gets forced into it almost at some point, and eventually I think he's going to be good. By the time the season ends, maybe he'll have some Sidibe moment.
Where, unless Alan Griffin can bring the ball in, but
yeah,
that's to be seen.
Yeah, I know. I mean, that's a weird situation. I just don't feel like he's going to be there much. I don't know. It's so. There's so many different variations that you can do with some of the new guys, and with Alan Griffin in there, and moving Dole down even, and doing that kind of thing that we did last year.
Well, and I want this to be true because there became a point last year where Joe Girard looked like he was burnt out.
Yeah,
like he could have used a couple extra minutes on them.
Just tired, man.
Yeah,
because he's active. He burns himself out.
Yeah.
So
he's high energy.
Yeah.
You got the media timeouts. These guys aren't tired.
Dude, no. I don't do that.
Oh my gosh, I remember that. That is so funny. We used that for a buy-seller hold, didn't we? We used it for something. Oh my gosh, that's so
That was
funny.
pretty, yeah.
Boy, right on cue. Congrats on that. That was brilliant. All right, we're gonna do a couple would you rather's. Okay, some of these are weird.
Hey, hold on. Can I throw something in here?
No.
Can I throw a buy seller hold?
No. Yes. Go ahead, Joe.
Okay.
Of course.
And this is basically just because I know that James has been watching the NBA too. Yeah. But I don't even know if it's a buy seller. Buy seller hold.
Jesus
We're easily an NCAA tournament team if Darius Baisley is on our roster last year.
I'd buy that. I think he's a talented kid. I was upset at him, but
I had my reservations, and now I've seen him.
But he still took the year off, though.
He took the year off. Then he was just playing D League, and now he's kind of putting in very significant minutes for the OKC Thunder. He's been playing really well, so
he's a talented dude.
He surprised me. Yeah,
he took the path less traveled for sure.
Yeah, well, it seems to have worked.
I don't think it's going to work for a lot of people, though. I think it's a very rare case. Is that fair?
Yeah,
I would still buy, though.
I would agree with you there, Sean. Yeah.
Because
I would buy that as well. I think he would have been a difference maker, though. You could have seen a little bit more of Dolezaj at the center because you still had Quincy and you still had Elijah. Obviously Elijah's going to play a lot of minutes there, but maybe you could even move Elijah up to the 2 guard if he's really that good.
Yeah.
But to think that Darius Baisley, if he goes to Cuse, couldn't have won you a couple more games. I don't think it's that far of a stretch.
Yeah. Absolutely, without a doubt. So let's do this. We got one from. Would you rather from Cuse Waterboy. This is a game I want to get going, and this stuff's always better when there's actually games being played. But would you rather compete in a free throw contest against JG3 or a pizza eating contest versus Dolezaj? I would rather eat pizza, guys. I'm not trying to embarrass myself from the free throw
I was
line.
never really good at free throws.
but I can definitely eat pizza, so I'm just going to go where most of my talent already lies, and that is eating pizza. Because I mean, I probably eat pizza once a day. It's got to be close. On average,
what kind of pizza? Though?
well, like today, I got some Hunt Brothers pizza from a gas station in Elizabeth City, North Carolina. It's pretty good. Never had it before. Yeah, I'm like, well, this is actually pretty good.
There's no pizza down here like up there though.
No, so like some of the pizza that you get from pizza shops here, like legit pizza joints, aren't as good as some of the gas station pizza I can get in Syracuse. Does that make sense?
Sure.
I mean, you know, it's just they just don't have it. It's just not there. So, but the Hunt Brothers pizza, not bad. But
Yeah,
I like I like the big slices where you have to fold and hold. You know, I don't like these little tiny slices like Red Baron frozen pizza. You know, it's stupid.
Yeah, you can't do the frozen pizza. That's not good.
I don't know if I like this would you rather, because to me that all depends on what kind of mood I'm in. Because if I'm hungry, you know, if I don't got a lot of time and it's like I just want to get my ass beat by Joe Girard in a free throw shooting contest and get out of here, you know. I mean, I don't really know what else you want there.
So you're not going to answer the question.
No,
You're going to complicate it with
pizza.
Hold it again.
Okay. What about you, James? You eat pizza with us?
Man, I would go with the free throws just because my talents don't lie in eating pizza, and I can confirm Dolezaj did eat a whole pie to himself after the Big East tournament this freshman year, so I already know I'd lose that one. But I am a pretty good free throw shooter. I don't think I'd beat Joe Girard. He's certainly a better free throw shooter than I. But I know I could get down there, and I could, you know, if we're shooting 10, I feel very confident I could knock down at least 9 of them. So,
Really?
JG3, if you're listening, let's get it, man.
Oh, okay.
Well, he listens.
See, my thing
He
is
definitely would.
Yeah. My thing is that I know I'm not going to win either one, but I'd just rather eat pizza.
That's fair.
True that.
Totally fair.
But it also depends, and I hate to drag this out, but this is true, though. Like, do I get to warm up? You know, like, I don't need warming up eating pizza. I just start doing it. But, like, you know, the first foul shot sometimes, if it's been a while, can be a little awkward and ugly.
Dude.
Like, my 13-year-old son kicks my ass in pig, so...
I'm like a career
It's a problem.
65% free throw shooter.
It's a
and
problem.
if my basketball coach heard that, he'd probably still laugh because I'm probably just overinflating that.
Yeah, it's probably 45.
Dude, it was... If you got 1 out of 2, you were happy.
He listens. All right, well, we got more, but I think we're out of time. I think we're good. So, anything to add, James? You got anything going on, bud?
No, nothing going on. I would just say I've been walking my road like 5 times a day, and we've got some neighbors, you know, down the street. They have an immaculate lawn, man. I don't know why I'm bringing that up, but I walk by that thing, and these people, their lawn, you could like eat off it, man. It's amazing. They've got like this garden out front. They've got like stuff going on with the trees. I just thought that I'd mention that.
Can you take a picture of it?
Yeah,
I'm interested in that.
I'll take a picture of it and I'll post
See?
it.
This is what happens when you live in the city too long, James. This is what happens.
Man. It's you walk
Grass.
You don't
outside and
see
you're
the
like, man,
lawns.
there's-
You don't see
There's
lawns,
trees, the birds are chirping, there's fresh air, man. This is great.
Grass. Yeah,
Yeah, grass.
I take a ton of pride in my lawn. I do. In my neighbor's crabgrass.
That's what happens when you get
Just-
older, though, right?
Yeah.
Or you own something.
Yeah.
That's really what it is.
I mean,
that's
when
just
my
the thing,
when
right?
my lawn is mowed, you know, you hear the whole cliche thing where men stand back and look at their lawn after they mowed it. Man, sometimes I look at it and like I'll drive by the house just to drive by it and look and be like, man, I did a great job.
He brings his family with him, James. Look,
Hey, look at the lawn.
that's
Look at the lawn.
mode.
Look at the lawn. I went
See the
to
lines?
print.com and had a lawn of the month sign made, and I just stick it in there, and no one knows the difference. They're like, man, this guy's got a
See,
nice
I don't
lawn.
own a house, but I do my girlfriend's lawn, and I take pride.
I don't own a house, but my girlfriend does.
Yep. I'm currently still renting, only for a month.
Hey, man, I'm
Not
still
much
in,
longer. Not much longer. The big
Not
move.
much longer.
The big move.
Ownership's overrated, man. Don't listen to what they say.
Well, I'll tell you. You can own it and get stuck in it, though.
See?
So, I mean, that's where I am. So, all right. Well, that was great. That was a great addition, James. I appreciate that.
well, dude, I'm not going to make fun of him, but you were just talking about your lawn mowing skills there, buddy.
I gave a funny look at first, and I'm like, you know what? This guy's got a great point. As always. As always, I love him. All right. Look, we appreciate all of you for tuning in. As always, we appreciate our good buddy James coming on. And want to thank Manscaped and Bet Online. For James and Joe, I'm Sean. We're out.
Thanks for listening to the Cuse Militia Podcast, the fan's voice with Sean and Joe.
Is it the air guitar you got going on?
Yeah, man. It's jamming out.
It's good.
This guy. Making fun of the stuff James brings up. Meanwhile, you had a 5-minute conversation about gas 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. Well, look. So I lost power.
Oh.
During that storm. Mm-hmm. I don't know how to pronounce it.